This is part 2. The existence of scientific debate is also crucial because, as the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman remarked in 1963, there's no authority who decides what is a good idea. The absence of an authority who decides what is a good idea is a key point, because it illustrates that science is a messy business. There's no absolute truth. This was articulated by Tom Schofield's posthumously published essay, in which he wrote, "Science is not about finding the truth at all, but about finding better ways of being wrong." The best scientific theory is not the one that reveals the truth. That is impossible. It is the one that explains what we already know about the world in the simplest ways possible, and that makes useful predictions about the future. When I accepted that I would always be wrong and that my favorite theories are inevitably destined to be replaced by other better theories, that is when I really knew that I wanted to be a scientist. When one side of a scientific debate is allowed to silence the other, this is an impediment to scientific progress because it prevents bad theories being replaced by better theories, or even worse, it causes civilization to go backward, such as when a good theory is replaced by a bad theory that is previously displaced. The later situation is what happened in the most famous illustration of the dire consequences that can occur when one side of a scientific debate is silenced. This occurred in connection with the theory that acquired characteristics are inherited. This idea that had been out of fashion for decades, in part due to research in the 1880s by August Weismann. He conducted an experiment that entailed amputating the tails of 68 white mice over 5 generations. He found that no white mice were born without a tail, or even with a shorter tail. He stated 901 young were produced by 5 generations of artificially mutilated parents, and yet there was not a single example of a rudimentary tail or any other abnormality in this organ. These findings and others like them led to the widespread acceptance of Mendelian genetics. Unfortunately for the people of the USSR, Mendelian genetics are incompatible with socialist ideology, and so in the 1930s, USSR were replaced with Trompen-Lyansko's socialism-friendly idea that acquired characteristics are inherited. Scientists who disagreed were imprisoned or executed. Soviet architecture collapsed and millions starved. Soviet agriculture collapsed, so food, and millions starved. Henceforth, the tendency to silence scientists with inconvenient opinions has been labeled Lyanskoism, since it provides the most famous example of the harm that can be done when competing scientific opinions cannot be expressed equally freely. Left-wingers tend to be the most prominent Lyanskoists, but the suppression of scientific opinions can occur in other contexts too. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in 1986 is a famous example. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster happened because the rubber O-rings sealing the joints of the booster rockets became stiff at low temperatures. This design flaw meant that in cold weather, such as the -2 Celsius of Challenger launch day, a blowtorch-like flame could travel past the O-ring and make contact with the adjacent external fuel tank, causing it to explode. The stiffness of the O-rings at low temperatures was well known to the engineers who built the booster rockets, and they consequently advised that the launch of Challenger should be postponed until temperatures rose to safe levels. Postponing the launch would have been an embarrassment, and so the engineers were overruled. The launch therefore went ahead in freezing temperatures, and, just as the engineers feared, Challenger exploded, causing the death of all 7 crew members. NASA's investigation into the Challenger disaster was initially secretive, as if to conceal the fact that the well-known O-ring problem was the cause. However, the physicist Richard Feynman was a member of the committee and refused to be silenced. At a televised hearing, he demonstrated that the O-rings became stiff when dunked in ice water. In the report on the disaster, he concluded that for a successful technology, reality must take precedence over public relations. Nature cannot be fooled.
No, the astronauts. What happened?
Today, there are many reasons to be concerned over the state of free speech, from the growing chill of university campuses to the increased policing of art forms such as literature and film. Discussion of scientific topics on podcasts has also attracted the ire of petty Lyancoists, but there is also cause for optimism. As long as we stand up for the people, that no one has the right to police our opinions. Oh, the principle that no one has the right to police our opinions. As Christopher Hitchens remarked, my own opinion is enough for me, and I claim the right to have it defended against any consensus, any majority, anywhere, any place, any time. And anyone who disagrees with this can pick a number, get in line. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry, there was a bad word.